How do you handle sibling conflicts when it's your younger sibling who is bothering your older sibling in your family? Let's talk about it tonight. Hi, everyone. I'm BJ Muir from JesusHelpMeParent.com, and I help you become the parent that your children need so they can grow into the people Jesus is calling them to become. It's a common theme, sibling conflict in families, and it can be really tiring and frustrating as a parent to deal with them. You get to the end of the day and you just want to have dinner and have a relaxing evening, but now you have to play referee again, right? And what do you do when really it's the younger sibling involved who's kind of bothering your older sibling? How do you manage that? I'm going to give you 5 tips tonight for how you can move forward in family life and help start resolving and even reducing all of this sibling conflict. And stay tuned through to the end of the video where I show you how to reserve your free seat at my next parenting webinar coming up in just a week. All right, so let's jump right into this right now. Tip number 1, you want to start when your younger kid is bothering the older kid. You want to start by increasing relationship. Now, this is a strategy you just can't go wrong with. Your increasing relationship always helps. You're growing closer knit to your kid, which is just a good thing, but that then helps your younger child in this situation feel more comfortable, feel more safe. Oftentimes, negative behavior is your child's way of expressing a need that they don't have the words to express. And so we want to start understanding what's that need behind that behavior. And it often starts by growing closer to that kid. So take some time. I'm not talking about big daddy daughter dates or mom son outings and things like that. Nothing wrong with that, too. But start out by simple things like inviting that kid to come on the car ride as you go pick something up from the store, or getting down on the floor and playing with their toys with them for 10 or 15 minutes, snuggling on the couch and reading their favorite book. Simple things like that that just speak I love you in real tangible ways to your kid. As you're doing that, you're softening your child's heart to receive what the Holy Spirit wants to say and to receive what the Holy Spirit wants to say through you as their parent as well. So, build relationship is a great place to start. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not just going to build relationship with our younger kid. Of course, we'll build it with our older child too, but that younger kid's behavior right now is calling out for more relationship. Tip number 2, excuse me, you want to coach your older child. That's right. We're not starting with our younger child and dealing with them at this moment. I want you to go to your older child. Your older child is, by definition, older and hopefully a little bit more mature. And they're going to need some help here because if we're looking at this situation, we're admitting that this kid, this younger kid, is being a bit of a nudge, to put it nicely. They're pushing buttons, they're bothering them. You're looking at the situation like, man, it's my older kid's not doing anything wrong in this situation. My younger kid is really bothering them. We need to empower our older child with some strategies for how to handle this so they can continue to be above reproach. Now, if your older child is coming down a level and going back at it with them, we need to correct that, of course. But if we can help our older kids stay above reproach, we want to teach them how to, as Proverbs 19:11 says, overlook an offense. It'll be to your glory to do so. We want to teach them how to let things roll off your back. We want to teach them how to learn how to respond in these situations. A lot of times, our younger siblings, their job is just to study life and to study each other. And they often know exactly how to push our buttons. And so we want to help our older kid. If we see that that younger sibling is sort of pushing our older sibling's buttons, we want to give that older sibling some strategies for how to respond. And we can tell them, like, hey, I noticed your younger brother, man, he's driving you nuts when he does this, isn't he? And you just ask them, how do you feel when this is going on? Okay, now if they're doing the wrong thing, if they're yelling at them, if they're doing, negative responses, we're going to correct that. But then we need to empower them with the right response. And so we might give them some language, like telling them like, "Hey, cut that out. I don't want to hear that." Or that's not very nice to say, or or whatever you might want them to say at that point. Then we also want to empower them with the ability to come to us, to let our older kid know, hey, I see what's going on here and I see you. You don't have to take this. I don't want you getting way up there in your anger or your frustration or your whatever emotion you're feeling. I want you getting help when it's still low. I want you using your words to start with. I want you trying a couple times. And if it's not working, that younger sibling of yours needs a higher authority to address it. And I'm the higher authority. So we want to empower our older child at this point, help them understand that we're empathetic towards what they're going through. But we also want to communicate something with our older child that really siblings are the relationship workshop of life. Siblings are the relationship workshop of life. You get a whole bunch of siblings, and God can use those siblings to teach you how to relate to and work with other people in the world as you grow older who are just like your sibling. There's plenty of people, I'm sure, who, for you parents who are watching this video, that you've met that you said, man, just like my brother. Oh, just like my sister, right? And you need to understand how to relate to that person. Hopefully, as a child, you learned how to do that with that sibling of yours. And now you can transfer that skill set to this adult in your life as well. But if you don't learn it as you're younger, you can't transfer it as you're older. So we want to teach our kids that really this is like a workshop here. And you are building the resilience that you need, the skill sets that you need for the adults in your life that God's going to put in your life to continue to grow you more into his image. So that's where we want to start with our older kid is coaching them along and giving them the strategies so we can make sure that they're in a good place to help us as we're solving this problem with our younger child. All right, tip number 3 here now. We want to start looking deeper at the heart of that younger kid. We want to be listening carefully for words that we hear because words we hear are clues to us parents of some thinking errors and belief problems that are lying down in the heart. When we see wrong behavior, that suggests that there's a wrong belief behind that behavior. When we see a kid, excuse me, who is stealing stuff out of a sibling's room, who is saying things like, I should get to have this too. I'm almost as old as you are, or something like that. That's giving us a clue to some faulty beliefs that that kid has. And we want to be able to address that with that child. Similarly, we want to notice the types of behaviors that we're seeing because that's going to suggest an area of the heart we need to deal with, an area of the conscience that needs more work. Is it a lot of teasing that we're seeing? Is there a lot of foolish behavior that we're seeing? Is there any type of stealing of property or anything like that going on? Is it name calling? Is it being disrespectful? You know, when we see those different behaviors, that suggests one of the 4 different areas of the conscience. And once we know the area of the conscience at work, we can then target our practice as a parent, target the strategies and skills we need to work on with our kid. So start working on that third suggestion, looking at your child's heart and understanding how to go deeper into that heart and understanding exactly what you want to target. Now, before I give you tips 4 and 5, if you've been finding this video helpful, would you do me a favor? Hit that like button. It really helps our videos reach a broader audience as well, so they're helped as well. Now, tip number 4, you want to start plotting your course as a parent to the more positive goals you have for that younger child using the tools that God's given you as a parent. God's given us relationship, the ability to vision cast, firmness. He's given us teaching and coaching, transferring responsibility, and then the superpower tools of prayer and scripture as well. You want to look at those tools. And as you're sitting there saying, okay, I'm noticing, I've watched the actions that this younger sibling's taken. I've listened to some of the words. I'm sensing that there's some jealousy here. Well, then I want to target contentment. How am I going to develop contentment in my child's life? How can I pray for that in my child's life? What are some scriptures I want to teach my child about contentment? Is there a Bible story about contentment that I can give my child as well? What are the strategies? What do I need to teach my kid? Is there a phrase I want them to say when they see their brother or sister getting something that they want that is helping them develop contentment? That's how we use these different tools, is that we start looking at the problem, looking at the solution, and say, okay, how do I help my kid develop that? Maybe your kid's showing just a bad attitude. We need to teach them the ability to take a perspective, take a different perspective. Perspective taking is vital for children to develop over time so they can start seeing the world from somebody else's shoes. If the kid's being sneaky, well, we need to work on trustworthiness. If a kid's stealing, we need to teach restitution and even giving. But we want to start looking at the opposite side of the equation here and start saying, okay, here are the negative behaviors, here's the negative things going on, here's the negative heart quality, what's the positive one, and how do I use the tools God's given me as a parent to plot the course to get my kid there? And then we're going to help them along the way. Tip number 5, we want to promote strong sibling relationships in a positive way as well. Now, we have 3 different ways that we can do this. First of all, we can use teamwork to help our kids develop a stronger sense of brotherhood, sisterhood, siblinghood. Teamwork can be simple things like everyone's cleaning up after dinner together. Let's go rake the leaves together. Chores provide endless opportunities to work on teamwork together. It could be a simple thing like getting the groceries into the house, but we want to work on teamwork because that helps us grow closer together. And we want to call it out. We want to say to our kids after we finish a job like that, hey, we really make a good team when we work together. Thanks so much for all your help. We want to acknowledge how positive this last 5 minutes was, because that starts to set a different narrative in our kids' hearts and minds when we start calling that out. A second way that we can do this is through shared experiences. Having a day where we all just go to the park or go for a bike ride or do something fun, go out for ice cream. Those shared experiences are times to let our guard down a little bit, laugh a little bit, enjoy things together as a family, and to build memories. And again, we want to call that out as well. We want to say something when when we're all done with one of these events, like, man, we really had fun together as a family. I love spending time together as a family. Our family is a fun place. Something like that to help again set that narrative differently in our children's hearts and minds. The third thing we can do with our kids to sort of promote this strong sibling relationships is practice honor. Remember, that is doing more than what's expected, having a good attitude, and treating others as special. That younger sibling needs to go on some honor missions towards lots of people, including their older sibling. When you have to treat someone as special, when you have to do more than what's expected, and to have a good attitude about it while you're doing that, you're going to naturally start developing a closer relationship with that person. The closer the relationship between siblings, the harder it is. Notice I didn't say it's impossible, but the harder it is to sin against each other, to treat each other badly, because you care so much about that person. If you look at how much vitriol there is in our culture today, a lot of it gets back to the fact that we just don't know each other too well anymore. And if we would just take time to spend a moment or two, we'd find we have a lot in common and that we actually can be friends. Same's true for our kids too. They don't live in a world that shows them how to spend time with each other, how to serve other people, how to serve each other. So we want to teach that to our kids as well. We can use honor as the ticket into the heart to develop that heart skill in our kids. You know, Dealing with sibling conflicts is huge, and there's so much to it. And I find if you've been watching this video, you tend to be one of a couple of people. Either you find yourself spending your days putting out fires and playing referees, and you're feeling overwhelmed and you're just not sure where to turn to. Or maybe you're that person who you're just tired of all the arguing and the bickering and the fighting in your family, and you're tired of feeling guilty that you just don't know how to end that cycle. Or maybe you're that person who you've seen these strict disciplinarian approaches, you've seen these more modern and gentle approaches, and you like some things in each, but they both go in different directions that are a little too far, and it just doesn't seem to ever fit your kid. It looks great in the book, in the video, on the blog, but it doesn't work for your kid and your family. And you've been trying to kind of pick things out like you're in a buffet line of parenting advice and put it all together, but you're not so sure that you're building the perfect balanced diet plate of parenting tips and tricks, and you're just unsure of if you're doing it right. Well, no matter what reason you're watching this video, I'm glad you're watching this video. And I want to invite you out to my free parenting webinar. You can head over to jesushelpmeparent.com/register if you want to learn 3 secrets for solving sibling conflicts without threats, punishments, or bribes. That's the title of it. 3 secrets for solving sibling conflicts without threats, punishments, or bribes. Again, head on over to jesushelpmeparent.com/register right now. And I can't wait to see you sitting there with me as we're online together at this virtual parenting workshop together. Again, free for you. Love to see you there. Thanks so much for watching this video. Again, make sure to hit that like button if you found this video helpful and share it with your friends on social media as well. You can also tell them all about that parenting webinar. I'd love to see them there as well also. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you real soon. Bye, everyone.